We've got Blade, Shang-Chi, Miss Marvel, and so many more going up against zombie Scarlet Witch and her zombie army in another excellent addition made by Marvel Animation. This show honestly does so many things right that you could argue it is one of the best entries made by Marvel Animation, and they've made some bangers. Give them the forecast. Sorry for that terrible Cyclops impression. And I'm not gonna lie, I was not very excited for Marvel Zombies when I first heard about it. I'm not the biggest zombie horror person, but after watching that first trailer that they released, I was like, ooh, I have to watch this. And it did not disappoint. And honestly, one of the best things that this show does is embrace that mature rating and horror theme. Before we get any further into the video, major spoilers for Marvel Zombies. We basically have just a straight up zombie movie in this show. They pull so many tropes from other zombie movies. First and foremost, I think one of the biggest things is always like, how fast are the zombies, right? Are they like super slow, or are they like 28 days later zombies where they're like insanely freakishly fast? And this one has both. Most of the zombies are kind of real slow, that is, unless they are controlled by the Scarlet Witch. And if they're controlled by the Scarlet Witch, they seem to have freakishly fast speeds. I think one part in the show when they were just moving so fast was when we saw Half Cap, basically, who has no legs whatsoever, but he is moving so fast. I'm like, there's no way a regular person would survive this. But honestly, you could really feel all of the chaos within this show. Like anytime there was a zombie horde coming through, whenever it might be, it felt like you were there. Most notably was the beginning of episode 2 when we were with Shang-Chi and Katie and they were running through the streets of San Francisco. There's just a full-on zombie outbreak. We've got regular zombies, we've got fast zombies, we've got giant-sized pin particle-sized zombies that are just going over all kinds of things. Not only zombies, but like huge insects also flying around. It's just total and utter chaos. And I think one of the good things that they do is they kind of make it so it's like someone's holding a handheld camera. And so you get that shakiness of the camera. You can just feel the tenseness in that whole opening sequence of episode 2. The other points where you could feel a lot of tension and just the chaos from the zombies attacking our heroes was when they finally get to City by the Sea, or City on the Sea, I forget exactly what it is. The raft, basically, that Zemo is kind of in charge of, where they're going to be quote unquote safe from the zombies. That is until, of course, Namor and the Atlanteans show up after them. Again, you could just feel the chaos and the intensity of just like probably being on the raft. You're in the middle of the ocean, and now we've got these zombie Atlanteans and Namor, and they are on the ship and they've got no problems with water. And they're just going after every single person. Leaning into this horror aspect is they did a really good job with all of the animation and action sequences. There was a lot of battles within this entire 4-episode series, and they were done really well. I mean, we saw basically that whole sequence of Blade going up against Ghost in the trailer, but you watch it again and it's done so good. The fact that we saw Blade slice Ant-Man in half, again, we saw that in the trailer, but you see that, and that's just not something that you're probably going to replicate in the movies. But the huge action sequence at the end in episode 4 with the remaining heroes going up against Wanda and her huge army of pretty much everyone that she's recruited up to that point, and them going up against each other, pretty much trying to protect Infinity Hulk. There's just so many things that you wouldn't actually be able to do in real life, which obviously is just more so trends towards animation. And I gotta say, Wanda as this like zombie leader, she is creepy as hell. One, when she is in her zombie form, she is beyond creepy. Even more so though, she is even more creepy when she was pretending to still be in her human form. When she was using her reality bending, mind warping powers, and they were in New Asgard, and she was like, oh, this is all just a mistake. This is real, right? And like watching her talk to Kamala and our other heroes, she just has such a creepy vibe. Like way more, in my personal opinion, way more than how she was in Multiverse of Madness. Now, speaking of characters and character highlights, I think that this is another amazing thing that this show did. Now, part of it, again, has to do with animation. The other part of it has to do that it's not within the main MCU timeline. So it has a little bit of leeway where it can do things that the main timeline and live action just can't. We get to see so many characters characters, especially ones that we haven't seen in a while, or ones that didn't have that big of a role in live action, let's say, and have a bigger role in this show. Most of the show centers around, of course, Kamala Khan as Miss Marvel, Blade, Shang-Chi and Katie, we have Red Guardian, Yelena, Jimmy Woo, and Death Dealer. Those are kind of like the main crew for a while. In there though, we get to see a lot of people that I wasn't even expecting. Like, we got to see the Mandarin, Baron Zemo, and John Walker. Like, I wasn't expecting to see them. And we got to see some of the magicians and whatever mages and witches from Kamar Taj from the Doctor Strange movies that didn't even have like speaking roles in those films, but we saw them in this and they actually had a fairly large role here. So we got to expand our characters a little bit more than we're used to in live action. However, on the opposite side of that, we got to see characters that we thought may be sticking around for a while in this show, and we're just like, gone in an instant. Like at the beginning of the show, we get introduced to Kamala, Kate, and Riri pretty much all hanging out together, right? And you would imagine like one of them is probably not gonna last to the end of the show, but you'd figure you'd probably see them for a little bit of time together. I mean, not even like probably halfway through the first episode, Kate is zapped away, just eviscerated by Captain Marvel, and then Riri gets bitten. And like, you're like, wow, that's the main three people we've seen in the first 20 minutes of this episode, and two of them are gone. What is happening? Like, what is happening? That was a really good strong point. Like, no one is safe in this show. I think one of the biggest character highlights that was shown in the show, besides Kamala, who we'll touch on in just a moment, was Black Panther. Now, at the end of what this was supposed to be a continuation of episode 5 from season 1, I believe, What If Zombies, is T'Challa, Spider-Man, and Ant-Man are all headed to Wakanda, where they're basically presented with zombie Thanos, and Wakanda's overrun by zombies, and that's kind of where the episode ends. With that being said, that was the last time Chadwick Boseman portrayed Black Panther. They obviously had a plan for him to return. Unfortunately, as we all know, he has passed away due to cancer. Instead of giving him or putting in another voice actor to replace him, they had a very, very touching kind of tribute to Chadwick in the beginning of episode 3, where we're brought back as to that cliffhanger that we saw from season 1 of What If, and we end up seeing pretty much Black Panther take down zombie Thanos and pretty much saving the entire universe and world in that moment. But it is such a touching tribute, letting him leave that legacy of like, he was the only one who played this character in this, you know, animated series essentially. But ultimately, this whole show centers around Kamala Khan, which one was not something that I was expecting whatsoever, because that was not portrayed at all within kind of the trailer or anything like that. Following Kamala was one of the best things that you could do. One, Kamala as a character is a Marvel fan who just happened to get powers, but also she's still voiced by her live action character, Iman Vellani. Now, Iman Vellani, if you don't know, is a comic book nerd. She was a huge Miss Marvel fan before she became the live action Miss Marvel. You can just feel how genuine she is, not only as Iman Vellani playing Kamala Khan, but that just bleeds over into Kamala's character. You can almost feel like yourself and relate to her very much, because she's probably reacting as a normal person would in that kind of situation. Given that Kamala was placed front and center and kind of the heart of the story, and we were teased with almost like a Young Avengers Champions team at the beginning and at the end of the series. Also, she got connected with Wanda, and Wanda has this fascination with her. I'm wondering, does this kind of imply certain things that we're going to see in the future of the MCU, which you can see more in this video. Other than that, what did you think of Marvel Zombies? Please let me know down below in the comments. If you're here and you like this video and you want to see more like it, hit the like and subscribe down below. And until the next video, Excelsior.